Hey everybody, it's Scott from Always Forward RV. So thanks for watching this video. So in today's video, I think I'm going to go through what I would constitute as 17 critical items that you probably need to look at taking with you when you go out camping. Now this video is probably going to be geared for the newbie or for those who haven't been out camping that many times. So this is kind of a list that my wife and I have determined through trial and tribulation and through doing our own research. These 17 items have worked very well for us, and I would think that it's probably the bare minimum worth of stuff that you need to take with you when you go out camping. My wife and I bought our travel trailer about a year ago, and we knew nothing, right? We bought the travel trailer, didn't know all of the stuff that needed to go along with it. We did a lot of research, a lot of reading, and we were able to come up with a pretty good set of stuff that we thought we needed to take. We've added to it a little bit, and I'm going to just kind of put that out there that these are kind of the 17 items that we think are important to take out there with you. Again, doesn't mean that you're going to think they're important, so take it with a grain of salt, do your own research, and come up with stuff that is going to work for you. And I'll probably do two videos, right? I'll probably do this video, which is the critical items, and then I'll shoot another video which will be items that are nice to have but not necessarily critical. Okay, so I have the list here in front of me. I'm just going to read through the list. It's going to be in no particular order. Well, actually the order that I'm going to do it in is probably from pulling your rig up to site arrival and then through site setup. So I'll read these, discuss them a little bit, and then I'll probably take a pause on the video, fire it back up again, and walk around and actually show you some of these things on the list that are currently set up on our travel trailer. Okay, so the first one is weight distribution hitch, right? So we got a large travel trailer, 37 feet from nose to tail. We need a weight distribution hitch. Not only a weight distribution hitch, but one that has sway control in it as well. So if you're pulling a travel trailer, I strongly recommend that you use a weight distribution hitch, and preferably one that has some form of sway control associated with it as well. So that's our critical item number one. Critical item number two, backup communication, right? So between the ground guide and the person backing the rig up, you need to have some form of communication. Now my wife actually backs our rig in to the site, so she's much better at it than I am. So she gets the great job of backing it in. And when we communicate with each other, we use our cell phones. Now we do have walkie-talkies as a backup, and we would use those walkie-talkies if we were able to get into a situation where the cell signal was, not so strong, or the connections between the two cell phones wasn't real great. Then we would switch to the walkie-talkies. But nonetheless, it's imperative that you have some sort of backup communication between the person that's backing up the rig and then your ground guy. I guess you could always yell out the window if you needed to, but things can get lost and people don't hear, things can get lost in translation. People don't necessarily hear everything, or they hear things incorrectly when you're shouting. So again, recommend that you get some form of communication to use between the person backing up the rig and your ground guy. Okay, so once you get the rig into the spot and you're happy with it, next thing you got to go through is leveling it, right? So you need a level. That's a critical item. Now, some of the fifth wheels have the auto leveling system in it. This is really for those that don't have the auto leveling system. So you're going to need to use that level. We have a 2-foot level, and you'll use that to level the rig from side to side and then from nose to tail. So what I do is open up the door, put the level inside the rig. We'll level side to side first, and then we'll level from nose to tail. So in order to level side to side, you're going to need some form of leveling blocks, right? So if you get into the situation where one side of the rig needs to be lifted up, you got to have a way to do that. So they make leveling blocks. There's another product out there called an Anderson leveler. There's different things that you can use to be able to level your rig side to side. You just need to make sure you got something to do it. So level critical item, leveling blocks is another critical item. And then once you got the vehicle leveled, chalk blocks, right? Chalk blocks is another one. You need to make sure that you have 2 chalks so you can chalk one wheel forward and aft so it doesn't roll. Another thing, I don't have it listed down here as a critical item, but something that you may want to consider as well is some sort of blocks to put under your stabilization gear once you lower it down. Now where we're at right now, we're on a concrete pad, so that's really not an issue. But when we're out camping in the national forest and whatnot, and we're parked on gravel or dirt, you're going to want to make sure that you have some form of block underneath your stabilization rigging to help distribute the weight, and so the rigging doesn't sink into the dirt. That's kind of the purpose of using the blocks, to help that out. So I don't have it listed as a critical item, but it probably needs to be a critical item. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so we've already talked about chock blocks. So the next thing, hand cranks, right? So on our rig, we have a push button that will drop our stabilization gear, and some folks don't have that, right? They have the manual jacks that they need to lower. A lot of times they'll use a cordless drill with a socket on it to do that. But you need to make sure that you have your manual crank, right? Because at some points in time, the battery's going to fail, and you're going to need to manually be able to raise and lower your stabilization gear. That's what the hand crank is for. So, quick story: we had a fellow camper come in. He was brand new at it, never done it before, didn't have a crank, had no way to lower his stabilization gear. So he came over, knocked on our door. It was actually the camp host that came down. We did, have our hand crank with us, so he was able to use that to get his rigging down, and then was able to get something squared away the next day. But just make sure you have that hand crank, because like I said, Murphy's Law says that at some point in time those batteries will fail, and you'll need some way to be able to raise or lower your gear manually. Okay, so now you got the rig in, it's leveled, nose to tail, it's leveled side to side, you've disconnected from it. Now we're going to start hooking the rig up into the site. So where we're at, we are on full hookup, so we have to be able to run sewer line from the sewer port on the RV all the way out to the termination point for the sewer system itself. So you need to have sewer hose with you. Now we have 30 feet of sewer hose. We have three 10-foot sections. Two of those 10-foot sections are carried in the bumper of the travel trailer, and then I have a tap box that has other sewer items in it as well. In addition, it also has the third 10-foot hose. So make sure you have sewer hoses, that supports the type of camping that you're doing. Now with those sewer hoses, you got to check your local states to see, because I'm hearing that some of the states say that sewer hose cannot actually run along the ground. You have to raise it up off of the ground. So you got to get yourself a sewer hose cradle, or a stinky slinky, as most commonly referred to. So make sure you have one of those as well. But you can check your local laws and see if you need one. We don't need one where we're at, but we have one, just in case. I think it's probably good practice just to keep that sewer hose off of the ground anyway. All right, let's see what else. Sewer hoses, sewer cradle. Chemicals. You need chemicals for your black tank, right? You need something, there's a whole bunch of kinds that are out there. You just got to pick one that you like, that does what you need it to do, but it needs to be able to break down the waste in the black tank, so it can flow freely from the tank out to the sewer point. So make sure that you use a good tank treatment. Now I have a video on one that we like to use. You can watch that if you want, but it really doesn't matter, just as long as you get one that you like. So that's a critical item as well. So let's go back to the sewer hoses for just a second, because I forgot to mention something. So you need to make sure that you have all of the right connectors for the sewer hose as well. Now I like to use clear connectors so I can see the flow of material from the tanks, through the hose and into the sewer system, because I'm looking to make sure, especially on the black tank, that things are breaking down the way that they need to be breaking down, and that I'm not having large chunks of toilet paper go down, which may cause a clogging issue. So I use a clear 45-degree connector on the trailer itself, and then I use a clear 90-degree connector at the termination point where it actually flows into the sewer system. So just make sure that you have the associated connectors with your sewer hoses as well. Okay, next critical item, septic compliant toilet paper, right? You don't need to go out and buy the expensive RV compliant toilet paper. You just need to get one that says that it's septic safe, right? That means it's going to break down. Don't go get your household toilet paper and bring it here and expect it to break down properly in your black tank, because it's not going to happen. So get yourself the septic compliant toilet paper, and you shouldn't have any issues, provided that you're using a good chemical in your black tank as well. Okay, another critical item is a honey tote, right? So if you're not out on full hookups, you gotta have a way to drain your black tanks and get the material out and get it over to the dump station. So you can do it one of two ways. You can either, get your rig all set up, pack everything up, drive it over, dump it at the at the drop station, and then bring your rig back around and set it up. Or you can transfer your waste into a honey tote and then pull your honey tote over to the drop station, and then get rid of the waste that way. So a little bit easier to use a honey tote, especially if you're camping for a longer period of time. So that's a critical item, is making sure that you have the honey tote as well. Okay, so let's talk about actually setting up water and getting that into your rig. So you need a drinking safe compliant water hose, right? So it'll actually say on the water hose that it's safe for drinking. So there's differences between that type of water hose and then your common garden hose. There's less chemicals that are supposedly in the garden or in the hose that's certified to drink from. So just make sure that you get yourself a drinking safe water hose, and probably need to have a couple sections of that. We have two 25-foot sections of water hose that we carry with us. Never had to use anything greater than 25 feet, but you never know. So it's always good to have extra, just in case you gotta put the two hoses together to do a long run over to where the water source is and get it hooked up to your trailer. Now, when you're hooking that water hose up into your trailer, you need to have a 90-degree connector, right? That 90-degree connector takes the strain out of not screwing the hose directly into the side of your camper. And I'll show you that as we walk around the trailer here in just a little bit. So use that 90-degree connector. It helps take a lot of strain off of that fitting where the water hose attaches into your travel trailer. Pressure regulator, all right? Critical item. Make sure you have a water pressure regulator. Now, some of the sites have, we've come into some of the sites out there that have had tremendous water pressure in excess of 60 psi. If you were to pump that directly into your travel trailer, you would more than likely damage some of the water lines inside the travel trailer. So make sure you get yourself a water pressure regulator. Now, the one that we have is adjustable. We set it right around 40 psi. You can get some, that are already preset, that are not adjustable, and they're set to be anywhere between, I think, 40 to 50 psi. But nonetheless, make sure you have a water pressure regulator to regulate that pressure going into your travel trailer. Okay, next, surge protector, right? So there's different surge protectors you can get. Some folks have surge protectors that are permanently installed inside of their vehicle. And then there are folks that use surge protectors right out on the power pedestal itself, and that's what we do. Now, there's two different types of, and that's what I'm going to talk about, are the ones that you use out on the power pedestal. But I found that there are pretty much two types of surge protectors that you can get. One that just does a voltage check, right? You'll plug it in, it'll just tell you if the wiring and everything is correct within the power pedestal, and then through a series of different LEDs that will light up, and it'll let you know that power is good, not reverse polarity or anything along those lines, and just tell you that overall the power is good to be able to hook up. So that's one type. And then you have a second type that has an electronic management system in it, or an EMS, and that's the type that we have. Now that goes through a little bit more of a check. So it'll tell you if the power hooked up is good. It'll also tell you what the line voltage is. We're on a 50 amp hookup, so it tells us what the line voltage is on line 1 and line 2. It tells us what the frequency of the voltage is, and it will shut the power down to the rig if the power comes in too low, meaning it doesn't have enough volts, or if there's an over voltage condition, it will shut the power down to the rig. Now, you can do your research. You will find, folks that say that you don't need a surge protector, but I got to tell you, all it takes is one time for something dramatic to happen to your rig. So I can't say enough, do what you want to do, but I think the surge protector, especially the one with the EMS in it, the electronic management system, is a critical item. All right, two more items to go through. The next is a collapsible ladder. And I'll show you that here in a little bit. We have, I think it's a 8-foot ladder, maybe it's a 10-foot ladder, I don't know. But it collapses down into sections and collapses down to about 2 feet. So it's pretty handy to have. It allows us to do stuff on a rig. If I have to get up on the roof, though, I usually have to set the ladder up in the back of my truck, in the bed of my truck, and then I can get up on top of the roof. I can't use that ladder alone to get up on my roof, so just know that. But having some form of collapsible ladder that allows you to get up and do stuff on the side of your rig or on top of your rig is a critical item. All right, final thing, flashlight. Make sure you got yourself a flashlight, whether you use it to walk around your campsite at night, or in the event that power fails and you don't have any lights on in your rig, you need to have a flashlight, right? It'll just help you out. Primarily more so, middle of the night, you need to go dump trash or whatever, or you need to walk around your site. You need to be able to see things so you don't trip and fall and hurt yourself. So make sure you got yourself a flashlight. All right, so let's recap. All right, I'm gonna go through the 17 critical items. 1, weight distribution hitch. 2, backup communication. 3, level. 4, leveling blocks to level side to side, And then you need some blocks to be able to put underneath your stabilization gear as well. So that's number 4. Number 5, chalk blocks. Number 6, hand crank. Number 7, sewer hoses and sewer hose connections. Number 8, sewer cradle. Number 9, septic compliant toilet paper. Number 10, tank chemicals for both the black and gray tank. 11, honey tote. 12, water hoses. 13, 90-degree water hose connectors. 14, water pressure regulator. 15, surge protector, preferably with EMS. 16, collapsible ladder. And 17, flashlight. Okay, all right, I'm going to take a break, and then I'll turn the video back on, and we'll go around, and I'll show you some of these things already hooked up on the camera. All right. Okay, so I got one more thing to add to the critical item list. So sorry about the canopy here. We got some rain coming in, so I got it squatted all the way down. So it looks like I'm sitting in a tent, but I'm not. But anyway, we just had a fifth wheel pull out of here that had one of their storage bins wide open. My wife happened to see it, let me know, and I was able to chase them down and get them to stop to get out and close their storage bin. So critical item number 18, checklist, right? We've been doing this since day one. And we have varying different checklists that are in here, from how to pre-flight the camper before we take off, to how to connect it to the tow truck, parking, what we do once we come in and get ready to set up, water hookup, sewer hookup, all of these things. When we take it to storage, what we need to do. All of these things are individual checklists that I have in this book. And then in addition to that, I also put in our favorite campsites where we like to go, right? I got maps of where they are, all the different parking spots, and then my wife and I have actually gone through and identified which of the parking spots we prefer out of a few of these campsites. So I keep that in this checklist book as well. But complacency kills, right? So make sure you have some level of a checklist that you follow when you're getting your camper ready to go. That's probably the biggest one to make sure you have a checklist for. Is the pre-flight aspect of it, and then you can take it to whatever nth degree you want to, whether you want to do a checklist for setup, whatnot, for unhooking. And I'll tell you a couple things that I've done that the checklist, before we had the checklist, was I had the rear stabilizer jacks down before I disconnected from the truck. So I went to raise the tongue up to disconnect from the truck with the rear stabilizers down. Didn't hurt anything, figured it out after the fact, but it was something that needed to be done. So make sure you got a checklist, all right? Critical item number, 18? All right, just thought I'd throw that in. Thanks. All right, so let's do a walk around of the rig, and I'll show you some of the critical items that we have in use in the rig on the outside here. I'm going to try and figure out how to use the selfie stick, so if it comes out kind of crappy, just forgive me. So we'll see how it goes. All right, so let's do a walk around. All right, so the first thing we got is part of our trailer hitch, or our weight distribution hitch, which is sitting down there. You can see that right there. Those are also the pads, or the blocks that need to go under your stabilization gear as well. Now those are the stackable blocks, so you can use those as part of your leveling system if you want to. But like I said, we're out here on concrete, so those blocks under the stabilization gear probably are not necessary, but still a good habit to get into when doing it, no matter if you're on concrete, but you definitely need them if you're parked on a soft surface. Okay, all right, let's continue to walk around the rig here. Okay, a little windy today. I think we got some rain coming in. Okay, so chalk blocks. Mentioned the chalk blocks, pretty simple. Underneath the rig here, we got I got a block there at the end of one of the wheels, and then at the front of the other wheels. So chalk blocks, another critical item. All right, so let's talk about the sewer system. All right, so here we go. Here is our sewer hose that we have in play. Let me see if you can see it on the stick there. There you go. There it is. So we got 20 feet of sewer line, hook it up for the rig, and then running out to the termination point, and then it's sitting on that on the sewer hose cradle, or the stinky slinky. So again, critical items that you need to get. Now let's talk about the water hookup. All right, so here on the water post, I have the pressure regulator, which is right here. This one is adjustable. I have it set at right around, sorry, I can't see that. There we go. It's adjustable. I have it set right around 40 psi. So that's a critical item to have. with your rig. Now we run a separate water line for some other things that we do. This is also a pressure regulator, but it's not an adjustable one. And I think it's set from the factory at like between 40 and 50 psi. So no matter what you do, when you have water flowing into your rig, make sure that you have some sort of pressure regulator set up with that. All right, let's keep going around here. The 90-degree elbows. Right, here's one of the 90-degree elbows that I was talking about. You don't want to just take your hose and have it run into your port here and then come out and bend down. That's a lot of stress that's on this joint or this connection. So make sure you get a 90-degree elbow here and use that. They're inexpensive, and you know, like I said, it's a critical item. So make sure you have that. Let's see. That might be all of the critical items that you can see outside of the camper. I'm looking around, I don't think I see anything else. So. But yeah, you know, like I said, just do your research, come up with what you think is critical, and you know, and kind of make up your own decision or your own minds as to what you know. I did forget something. Let me go over here on the sewer lines. It was those clear pieces. Get around here. Okay, right here, the clear parts. So that's a clear 90-degree connection. You need that so you can see what's flowing. And then coming out of the rig itself, we also have, I hook up a clear 45 so I can see what's flowing out of the trailer as well. Okay, and then one other important thing that I forgot is the surge protector. All right, here we go. So this is the surge protector that we use. It does have an EMS module, the electronic management system, in it, so it will tell us if there's an under voltage or an over voltage, and then it will shut the power down as well, and it gives us a constant readout. Now it does have a wireless connection with it, so you can have a receiver inside of your trailer and it'll tell you all the information that it's displaying right here, but we don't use that. But if you look right here, it tells me that line 1 is at 120 volts, line 2 is at 122, frequency is at 60 hertz, so everything is looking good. And this will automatically shut off the power if it detects an under voltage or an over voltage. I think it'll even do it if the frequency hertz, the 60 hertz, gets out of whack as well. So, all right, so that's kind of it in a nutshell. Again, do your research, pick what's right for you. But the items that I've discussed here in this video are the ones that we found to be critical for us and ones that we use every time we go out camping. So, thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day.